Thanks so much, Jerry, and thank you so much, Prof, for this very exciting presentation. It becomes important when we come to such meetings to get to hear very, very powerful words of wisdom coming from accomplished professors like your level, because then it stimulates us and gives us, it qualifies and gives us all the reasons why we have to keep on doing what we're doing. Sometimes we say Africa is our business and being African is our business. And so following up from that presentation, we are again going to welcome Professor Olubukola Babalola, whom I do have the privilege to present her background to us. She will be talking to us about addressing climate change on food security in Africa, a very critical topic that has brought a lot of debates and has gotten a lot of global perspectives, but from how we'll get to hear more about how we can actually be able to address it in Africa. Prof. Olubukola is the Vice President of the World Academy of Sciences and also the Vice President of the Organizations for Women in Science for the Developing World, that is the OWSD African region, and is also an NRF-rated scientist, an MBA graduate, a director and principal investigator at Northwest University, South Africa. She wears many hats, and I admire her a lot because the fact that she's a woman and she can be able to properly accomplish most of her roles in all these different hats is something that maybe, just maybe, she could touch a bit on it and tell us exactly. But a bit more about her. After her PhD with a fellowship from the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, which is IITA, and also OWSD, she had postdoctoral experiences at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel and the University of Western Cape in South Africa. She has over 21 years of experience focusing on rhizosphere metagenomics and soil microbiology. She's a member of many editorial boards and an international advisor to several others. Professor Babalola has completed the supervision of 31 doctoral fellows, 24 masters, and numerous honors students. He is a prolific author with over 350 publications with an international experience that spans the Americas, Asia, Europe, and Oceania. She enjoys research grants and international partnerships across the globe. Besides that, she has a super high index of 60 with over 18,000 citations. Her efforts have received numerous awards, including being the finalist, Gender Insight 2020 awardee, the Clarivate Highly Cited Research Top 1% for the year 2022 and 2023, and most recently her publication in the Springer book, which was published by Springer, focused on food security and safety, giving it an African perspective. Besides that, she is number one in Africa for soil science and plant nutrition. You can be able to check that, which has been properly scientifically indexed. We'll be able to share the link shortly. And socially, she's happily married to Toba, who's also a professor of industrial and organization psychology, and together they're blessed with children. Again, Prof. Babalola will be presenting on the second keynote speech titled Addressing Climate Change on Food Security in Africa. I enjoy reading your bio, Prof, and I think let me take this opportunity to welcome you so that you can be able to give it the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really want to share my screen. It's just to hold the attention of people like me who will not keep focus in one place. Otherwise, I can present without the slide. The slide is more of pictures.
Prof, I believe you're able to share from your side. Jerry, yeah. Please confirm if Prof is able to.
Okay, yeah, she's a co-host. I think she should be able to. She should be able to do that. Hello, Prof. I think you're a co-host. You should be able to share.
Yeah, I'll be able to share. I'm using two screens, so that's why I'm sorting out my screen here first.
Is that right? So you can drop the one, the one beside you. Maybe that one will work. We can see the extended. So I think that you need to do the one you connect.
Please allow me to give it to you to share for me. I will need the two screen because I see well.
Okay.
Prof, you can send to my email.
Great, great, great.
Can I drop it in the chat for you?
Yeah, you can do that.
Have you received it?
Not yet. And I hope everything is permitted for others to have.
It's sending, please. It's sending.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here, and I'm so happy for this invitation. And I don't know how you manage to do it, to bring me to speak with a big person. In the person of Professor Tomori, he is a mentor of mentors. I'm not saying mentor of mentees, a mentor of mentor. And I'm blessed to have also met him in person during the last World Science Conference in Cape Town, and at the same time, the opportunity to be together at the Nigerian Academy of Science. Yeah, so I'm going to start my presentation now. When it comes up, please, on your side, you can help me to share. It's loading. But I don't want to waste time.
Prof, I dropped my email. If it's big, it may be problematic. Yeah, I dropped my email on the chat box. If you
I have I closed everything because my traffic is very high. And if my email is on, I will get a lot of distraction. But I can present without it. And yeah, it's almost fully, I think it's heavy because it's more of pictures. It's almost fully done and loading onto you. Today is a privilege to share insights into the current research, evidence on the challenges, the quality, and the impacts of climate change on food security. Specifically, focusing on the imperatives for Africa's transformation. Our gathering here signifies a collective commitment to addressing the pressing issues. To be a participant here present today is an indication that this issue is pressing to us, and we indirectly implies that we are stakeholders in it. And I'm delighted to be a participant as well, and for the opportunity given to me to shed light on the multifaceted aspects of climate change on food security from the African perspective. And this, I believe, demands the attention of every one of us. Why? The only set of people can sincerely deliberate on the challenges confronting Africa towards finding a lasting solution are the Africans. And you agree with me when Dr. Nwaru was speaking that he did mention also that the problem of Africa could be, it's Africa that will solve the problem of Africa, because everyone will be so selfish about his or her own country. So the Africa we find today is the Africa that we ourselves must uphold. Thank you. I'm on slide 1. Just leave it on slide 1. Just leave it on slide 1. So on this note, I must commend the conveners of African Science Frontiers Initiative 2023 Made in Digital Conference and Research Bootcamp for the initiative of bringing together eminent Africans. I mean, look, you covered 20 and beyond countries. That's tremendous for a startup. I mean, that's noteworthy, and it's a big congratulations to you. Dr. Bright Ngwaru, the founder and executive director of this initiative, Dr. Imaso, Dr. Vera Otieng, and the VP of the conference events, Dr. Eunice Fonze Fombele, the chair, the virtual bootcamp coordinator and planning, the ASFI member, the General Assembly. I acknowledge each and every one of you for the efforts and the support that you have given to Dr. Nwaro. I tell you, a tree cannot make a forest. And if someone has a beautiful vision, you will also need people who are passionate about your vision to steer the ship of that vision, to make it a reality. So thank you so much for the contribution. Thank you for your involvement. And every member of the planning committee is also deeply appreciated for the resilience and for being the brains behind the reality of this auspicious event. You know that I wear the hats of Organization for Women in Science, and anything about science is dear to my heart, not to even talk of the aspect of TWAS, and which is also about science. So thank you so much. I must also recognize the formidable presence, and not just the presence alone, of Professor Yewale Tomori. The presentation, that was a wow. And I had a take home from it that monodiscipline is the way to extinction, and that I must put in something into my own society. That's I call it nuggets of wisdom. Thank you, Professor Tomori. And I must also appreciate all the invited keynote speakers who will be coming on board. It's a privilege to share the platform with you. And the members of the panel discussant are duly acknowledged and appreciated. To every participant in the house, our presence signifies the values that we place on the well-being of our dear continent. To this, I can assure you that every section in this event has been carefully arranged. I mean, they have been made to the minute and to the time, such that that which you will invest in being present will be something that is worthwhile. So today I share with you some key findings from recent research that highlights the complex interplay between climate change and the food security in Africa. Slide 2. To be sure of where we are going, we must not forget where we are coming from. You understand? So, where are we coming from? The narration of climate change, the issue of food security, they were entirely a different story many decades back. It was a more ecologically balanced and self-sufficient world, especially in Africa, where a number of households have their backyard garden, where they practice smallholder farming, even with other occupation. And things have changed. So during this period, the farmers basically relied on traditional knowledge and experience as guide in selecting crops suitable for their climates. So you will see that the maize that will be grown will be from the seed that are well adapted to the environment where the maize is being planted. But what do we see today? We import our maize, we take the maize that is not suited for the environment, then that maize has a lot of things to contend with. I just use maize as an example. So we should begin to reflect where we are coming from. Policies of the African government on the environment, on urban planning, on forest management, on deforestation, they were stricter and were even followed in the previous time compared to now. Slide 3. So today you will see that we go on vacation, and during vacation we mostly travel to our country homes to have the feel of that natural environment that we once freely enjoyed while growing up. However, the fact remains that the effect of climate change is global. So, of course, the discussion on climate change and its implication is familiar. However, we have mostly in the past approached issues on climate change as just one of those phenomena that will naturally sort itself. It's not like that. But the reality is now glaring. It's glaring to us that we must go beyond just trying to meddle with or to still be surprised, but to start to take action. I will not point accusing finger. When we talk about climate change, every one of us has something to contribute. So I should contribute my quota, you contribute your quota, then we'll begin to see changes. But when everyone and each one is saying is the government, it's not only the government, please. So we, and who is the government, but we that constitute, is it not we the people also? I move to slide 4. We let down our guards in the phase of industrialization and the fast-paced population growth. So trees were cut down, replanting and changes in the land use policies were affected. All these were done to favor industrial processes. Please admit it, we all enjoyed it because, and if I will confess to you, I like industrial area. Places that are well, in the advanced place and things like that. But imagine how much havoc has been done to make it to be like that. So when you see all those skyscrapers, for an example, there are things that were there before. There were plants that were cut down. There things like that. So it was really a trade we did not negotiate for. Although the industries came with huge benefits, but the resultant release of potent greenhouse gases, what is the result of that? It went into the atmosphere, and we always have improper waste disposal. Like Professor Tomari mentioned, you will see someone will just go and defecate somewhere, and all things of such nature like that. And we did not plan for that. Thus, the Earth's climate is warming due to human effects. And by the time we are saying human effect, human activities, who are the humans? So we already know the culprits, and we need to speak to ourselves as individuals to take a new leave. So with a different impact on food security, which arises from the loss of biodiversity, water scarcity, and land degradation, leading to inadequacies in food access and distribution. There is, therefore, a need for us to have a deeper insight into the impact of climate change on food security. You know the Sustainable Development Goal number 2, zero hunger. So we want zero hunger. And this meeting will stir up some thought-provoking ideas, and it's going to stimulate our interest in developing workable research-based approaches to manage such situations and to secure the future of our food. because where there is no food, there is nothing. And you know, it's such an important thing to every one of us. Slide 5. When we look at the recent research underscores the increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events in Africa, including droughts. There was a time here in South Africa that the information would be that you should manage water. And if you go to some hotels, you will see written on the wall that you should be kind to nature. You should manage the water. And a lot of things, these are looks simple, but these are tiny pieces here and there where every one of us has a quota to play. And on the long run, we are going to enjoy it if we all do our part. So you'll find out that there is each wave here and there. Even currently in the place where I am, for the past 3 days, it has been each wave and air conditioned 24/7. This event disrupts agricultural activities. It leads to crop failures and also livestock losses and increased vulnerability among farming communities. And those are the things that we do not want. Slide 6. So studies reveal shifts in suitability of agricultural zone due to changing climatic conditions. And traditional crop growing areas may also become less productive. So the solution to that now is it necessitates the adaptation of farming practices and the introduction of more resilient crop varieties. Are we not back to where we have left? Because now we'll have to go the way of adaptation of farming practices, because we want those crops that are adapted to the environment. For an example, they will thrive in the environment and they will not come with diseases because that is their, it's like talking about your normal flora. That is where they are and they thrive in that environment. And yeah, it's just suited. So I move to slide 6. Studies reveal shift in suitability of agricultural zone due to changing climatic conditions. So you'll find out that traditional crop growing areas are becoming less productive. They are becoming less productive, and the aspect of water scarcity is of concern to everybody. If it's not to you, it means you are not still in the living. I'm sorry to say, because from research, it's been indicated that a rising incidence of water stress in many regions, and this poses a significant threat to irrigation dependent agriculture, and it challenges the sustainability of water resources for food production. In the next slide, you will see that changing climate patterns create favorable conditions. Next slide. It creates favorable conditions for the spread of pests and diseases. And you agree with me, there was a time in Kenya, and that these is it wasps now are devastating the maize grown area. And it's like you are solving one problem to create another problem. So research highlights the emergence of new pests and diseases and the expansion of existing ones, affecting crop health and productivity. These issues are all the cumulative effects of climate change, and indirectly, they are making our food to be insecure. And in the next slide, I try to show that climate change induced food insecurity, and it also caused a lot of socioeconomic disparities. And you'll find that vulnerable populations particularly in rural areas, they face increased challenges in accessing nutritious food, leading to heightened level of poverty and inequality. We cannot say more. We cannot overemphasize the devastation, the yield lost, the wastage, the trauma, the socioeconomic even backwardness that is associated with this effect of climate change on food security. Even I feel the people that are not educated, they could understand that something is wrong somewhere. Next slide, you find high quality research has emphasized interdisciplinary approach. And this picks also on what Professor Tomori mentioned. If we want to solve this problem, we will go the way of interdisciplinary approach, wherein we are solving a problem and you come with your expertise. Your expertise is A, I come with my own, and B, another person comes with C, and we put together all the good brains because we recognize the complex and interconnected nature of the climate change. And you will find that for us to solve this problem of climate change or food security, there is need for collaboration. Collaboration between climatologists, yes, the agronomists, the economics, the social scientists. All this will enhance the depth of relevance of our research findings. And like that, we could make giant stride than we are making currently. Next slide. On the positive note, research also points to various adaptation strategies. And those strategies, they help to mitigate the impact of climate change on food security. And these include the promotion of climate-smart agricultural practices, the development of drought-resistant crop varieties, the implementation of sustainable water management system. So it is overlapping in terms of all the areas that has, because you cannot plant without having good soil, and you cannot also have bountiful harvest without the water management system in place, and also for your seed to be in good condition. So the quality of research is enhanced by localized studies. Localized studies that consider the unique context of different African regions. And I can bring to bear what Professor Tomori mentioned, that if this will want to solve African problem, if it is Cairo that I can partner with to solve the problem, why not? Because this is African problem, and the thing we are talking about is regional, is in the African region. So localized studies can consider the unique context of different African regions, whereby we tailor the solution to the specific environment, culturally and socioeconomically also. And that is crucial for effective policy development and implementation, because you want to develop the policy that is applicable to the region where the incidence occurs. There may be overlap sometimes in terms of internationalization, but when you want to solve a particular problem of a particular community, that community then should be the one at the forefront, because they understand and know their problems better. If I go to the next slide, you will see that research recognizes the value of indigenous knowledge. I tell you, and even in the things that I'm doing, yeah, we read so much books, but sometimes when you mingle with those, in my own case, being an agricultural scientist, when you mingle with those farmers, you are going to pick some ideas that, if I can say, it will be like implicit knowledge now for you. I pick from the words from Professor Tomori, it will be like implicit knowledge for you, because you will see that, oh, I observed that phenomenon, but from what this farmer is now saying, I can well relate it. So although these ones may not be the farmer with pen and paper, but you'll find that they have that repository of knowledge. They've been doing it for years. So what am I trying to say? That indigenous farming practices and traditional knowledge system are valuable. They are assets if we want to overcome the problems that we have, because and integrating this insight into the modern agricultural practices is crucial for sustainable food security. So I'm not saying that we will remain backward, but I'm saying that we embrace those indigenous knowledge and let them add value to all these modern day knowledge on agricultural practices. If we move to the next slide, in-depth, high-quality research involves meaningful community engagements and understanding the perspective of local communities. So incorporating indigenous knowledge and also involving stakeholders in the research process will contribute to the relevance and the applicability of the findings. So I'm saying community engagement, and about community engagement as a solution to our problem is about the people. It's about the local communities. It's about the knowledge holders. It's about the indigenous. It's about the stakeholders. They have parts to play. And to the next slide, research findings should inform the formulation and implementation of policies. So a policy that is made somewhere, for example, in Jamaica, may be applicable to me where I am, but it may not also. So when we say this policy, the research finding should inform the formulation. And I also challenge you that when you do your research, you have to start ruminating on the aspect of policy. Will I be able to make a policy brief on this on my work? Will it inform policy? If the research is not informing policy, I need to sit down and look at my proposal again, because why am I doing it? I want to add to the body of knowledge. So I have to look at it to make sure it's something that when I conclude, it should inform policy. Policymakers must be equipped with evidence-based insights to create knowledge framework that will foster sustainable agricultural practices. And the high quality research, we know, plays a pivotal role in driving innovation and the adoption of climate smart technologies. The integration of cutting-edge research into practical solutions will enhance the resilience of agricultural system. So you'll see yeah, I'm a farmer. In my own aspect, I'm doing the high-tech research, doing all this next generation sequencing and all this molecular stuff, because the integration of the cutting-edge research needs to be made into the practical solution. So indirectly, we are doing integrated management of the crisis that we have at hand. And something good will come out of our agricultural system. So research impacts extends to capacity building. It extends to empowering local communities, empowering farmers, policymakers as well, with the knowledge and skills that is needed to adapt to climate change. And educational programs informed by research findings contribute to this long-term transformation. So I'm saying part of the solution we will bring together is in terms of capacity building. Next slide. And when that is done, there is bound to be success. So collaboration in terms of collective research efforts, it's a global scale. On a global scale, we facilitate exchange of knowledge. It will facilitate technology transfer, resources sharing as well. And African transformation is intricate. I will say is intricate and is linked to international partnerships as well. So we need the international partnership as well also to promote sustainable solutions to shared challenges. Dear participants, you are in this conference as part of your role as a stakeholder, and I'm also a stakeholder. So I'm not pushing blame, and we are here to contribute to the promotion and to the advancement of science in Africa, meaning the results of discussion of the different participating experts at this digital meeting organized by ASFI with additional support from all of us, we generate a report, press release, that we all will be proud of this initiative from ASFI. In conclusion, the challenges posed by climate change on food security in Africa are significant, but so too is the potential for transformation through rigorous and impactful research. And we all are partakers of this, either as a researcher or as a policymaker, or you have a part to play. Our collective efforts will fuel high quality research that can pave the way for sustainable agricultural practices, resilient communities, and a future where the changing climate does not compromise food security. As we gather here, dear scholars, researchers, policymakers, and advocates, our responsibility is to translate this knowledge into actionable strategies that empower communities and the one that will protect livelihoods and secure the future of food production in Africa. Thank you for your attention and dedication to this critical cause. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for this very informative session yet again. I think we started the morning with quite great presentations from our two professors, and most importantly, what we have captured from you is that much as we know being African is our business, the aspect of climate change does not necessarily rely on government, but each and every one of us has a role to partake to ensure that we can be able to transform our knowledge around climate change and food security within our own convenient spaces, whether it is through research, whether it is through agricultural practice. While you are taking us through your presentation, Prof, I gathered quite a lot of important content, which I believe my colleagues did. You were able to also appreciate the fact that as we work towards the SDG 2, zero hunger, we need to come from a more informed point of knowledge, specifically appreciating the fact that recent research has already proven the increasing intensity of extreme climatic conditions like flood and drought. Of course, there's a lot of shifts in agricultural productivity. Of course, our farming lands are becoming less productive. There's emergence of pests and diseases, and there are also other lots of socioeconomic indicators that we can identify with as Africans. But of course, you did appreciate the fact that this is not just an African issue, but it's a global issue. So it also enhances on the issue of how does globalization come into addressing matters climate change, and you are able to appreciate it looking at different components. Specifically, you emphasize on interdisciplinary approaches, where we interlock ideas to address the problem of climate change and food security. You also talked about adaptive strategies, of course, to mitigate the impact of climate change on food security and the importance of indigenous knowledge, which I think, having been too knowledgeable, sometimes we overlook some of these indigenous knowledges, but they have some significant contribution towards addressing food security. You also appreciated the importance of integrating cutting-edge research and using it and molding it into practical decisions. But most importantly, you emphasize that African transformation is real, and we have to do what it takes to be able to get there. Thank you so much, Prof. And I do see lots of comments. Of course, they did that earlier when you were reading your bio, but a number of us have been able to appreciate your very knowledgeable presentation. Of course, Shadrach would say, thank you very much, Prof. Great honor you have granted us. You have nailed it perfectly. May God bless you abundantly. Jean is asking, what can you say on two concepts, zero hunger by promoting innovation in agriculture of high productivity using a small area of high burdens for NCBD incidents? In raising, probably Jean, you should be able to unmute to be able to ask this question. I think this is one of the questions that has been posted on the chat. And just to confirm with Jerry, if you're still managing our time properly, then we can go ahead and allow Jean to just elaborate clearly on his question so that Prof can maybe address this before we hand it back to Prof Bright to give some closing remarks to this specific presentation. Jerry, are we?
Yeah. I think she
good on track?
maybe just 10 minutes. Then this session should be ending by 10:30 or about. So, but I think we still have about 20 minutes, so we can have 10 out. Then we can use 5 for a stretch break. Then
okay.
The road time, yes.
So we can allow Habimana to ask a question?
Yeah, it would have been nice
okay.
if the person were
okay.
to save time of explaining over and over again. But since they have not done that, maybe they can go ahead. Maybe subsequently.
Okay. Habimana, maybe in a minute, please. Go ahead, Habimana.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof, for a good presentation. Because I have a passionate in the epidemiology of NCDs, and at this moment there is some contradictory message between the agriculture and the high incidence of NCDs as the lifestyle is a concern, or on there is a over the target of having zero hunger, and by achieving this, you are encouraged to use the manufacturing the artificial product using agriculture, and among ingredients that you are using who are in increasing high incidence of communicable diseases, because artificial product that is being your position this, if we can keep increasing high productivity using artificial, then later we have a oral population get suffered from NCDs.
Thank you, Dr. Felix. We must not misconceive what zero hunger is all about. I'm an advocate for biofertilizer. Mark that word, biofertilizer. Biofertilizer is not the same as chemical fertilizer. I will not encourage overuse of chemical fertilizer. I use the word overuse because most of the farmers, they will tell you that is what their family depends upon. And if they lie to you that they don't use the fertilizer, you should take it with a pinch of salt. So what we are clamoring about is the use of nature to correct nature. When you bring chemical fertilizer, you destabilize the soil microbial contents. at that place, because you are going to make some to die off and some will thrive. And after some time, you start having the side effects of the overly much of a particular kind. So I do not advocate for chemical fertilizer. I would rather say use biofertilizer. And then we start having things like biofertilizer, biostimulants, bioherbicide, such that even the herbicide to kill the weeds, the unwanted plants, are the bioherbicides. Thank you. I hope Dr. Felix have been able to answer your question.
Okay, I get your position. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe just to be able to manage our time as we have been able to do it since we started, Samuel will allow me to just hand it over to Prof. Bright. But please, colleagues, feel comfortable to post your comments and your opinions around the presentations that we have gone through. It doesn't end at the presentation, so really we look forward to some of your comments. You can use the chat section to be able to share this, and maybe Samuel, you can also post your query or your contributions on the chat section. Thank you so much. Over to you, Prof. Bright.
Thank you so much, Vera, for that, and Prof. This is also very profound. One thing I've really learned from what you have presented, which is important, is taking us to the basics. Food is something nobody can live without, no matter wherever you are in the world. And you have taken us to reflect on what we are doing to the environment. I like so much the part where you emphasize the collaboration between the indigenous people who are there, perhaps in the villages, and then using our modern technologies to have this integration that can produce more impactful yield, and then of course respect the nature we're into. So thank you. I think we have quite a lot to reflect here. So colleagues, Prof also mentioned the issue of collaboration. I remember when we started, and I was emphasizing that SFI, when we say science, we are referring to a systematic inquiry of knowledge. So science we mentioned is not on whether you're a biologist or chemist or physicist. Science is everybody. And I know we had a session when we started in one of our seminars where we sent people to breakout rooms, and we gave list of different occupations. We asked who is a scientist and who is not a scientist here. And many people were actually confused because in our mind we have categorized certain set of people to be the real scientists. But here you're saying that we are all involved, even those who are disregarded in the villages. And so to make our environment work, to make our survival work, we need to have that integration. And if we bring it up to what we're doing in SFI, is that all hands must be on deck. Whether you're a pastor, you're a imam, you're a medical doctor, you are a carpenter, this is a place for you, because we all can come together to make Africa work again. So thank you, Prof. For many people who don't know, this is not our first time we have called you, and you have obliged. This is one of the sessions you had with us. And for women who are wondering, actually your profile, very, very threatening profile to any woman. I think you have really laid down in one of our sessions, African Women in Science, Success Blueprint. So please, those who did not participate in this, go to our YouTube channel, find this. And if you want to be a woman of, they say, timber and caliber that bring impact to our society, go and see and hear Prof outlining how she became who she is today. And I know, looking at her, she's quite young, so there's so much she has to offer. So, Prof, thank you very much. And I believe that you will come back again when we invite you. Thank you. I hand over to you, Jerry.
Thank you. And please allow me to leave. Thank you.